And I do want to mention actually that I did like the Quivers album. It was very good. I'm definitely going to be listening to it again. So definitely an album to keep an eye out too. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Hola, Jefe. Welcome to Tremendous Views, my channel for another Thursday collection connection. The game that's just an excuse to talk about records. Last time out, Eric gave me Yngwie J. Malmsteen's Rising Force, Marching On. See if I'm remembering all those things. Clearly, Yngwie was sick of being confused with Yngwie P. Malmsteen, so we needed the middle initial. The whole thing was kind of odd to me. So there were vocals. I wasn't sure if there would be because I knew he was a guitar guy. And the vocals are by Jeff Scott Soto, who sounds so much like Bruce Dickinson that it's hard not to hear all of it sort of as inferior Iron Maiden songs. And there's something that just strikes me as fundamentally weird about a guitarist being so far out in front that the rest of the band, including the singer, are not even pictured on the cover. I feel like if it's that much about the guitar, then why put in lyrics at all? That's just my take. You are obviously free to love you some Yngwie, but didn't do a whole ton for me. I'll be honest. And not knowing much more about him than being a guitar hero, that was kind of the thread I started picking at. And I went to see what kind of guitar he played and quickly discovered that he had helped design a signature Fender Stratocaster. And I thought, hey, I wonder who else has a signature Fender guitar. And a lot of rock gods of the sort that I don't actually have, Jimmy Page or anything like that you would expect on the Stratocaster list there. But on the Telecaster, signature Telecaster, I came across the name Chrissie Hynde. And Chrissie Hynde is about as cool can be. So I thought I would make the connection of artists who have signature guitars from Fender. And the album I chose to go with for Chrissie Hynde was the Pretenders' 1980 debut, self-titled Pretenders, and it's just a classic record. Chrissie Hynde has, in my estimation, sort of the perfect rock voice. I mean, she just personifies cool. Doesn't seem like she's trying too hard. You know, there's been artists like David Bowie who are cool in their bizarreness, but she seems like she would look at that and think that just seems like a lot of work. I just, make my rock songs. And and the Pretenders in general are lumped in with that kind of, punk, post-punk, new wave kind of list. But really, they're fairly straight ahead rock. It's funny. Myself, I had, like I did with a lot, because I didn't start collecting records until 1985 or so, was when I was kind of old enough to start buying music for myself. And bands like the Pretenders, who had a fair bit of material out by the time I started buying, I would generally kind of sweep up in with a greatest hits. And so I had the Pretenders, the singles, for years and years and years. Was the only, for the most part, Pretenders I had. We did get the album Packed. That was when it came out. I think my wife happened to be working in a record store at the time and got it cheap or free or something. But in any case, they focus on the singles, obviously, which gives a little bit of a false impression, I think, of what the Pretenders did. and the songs Stop Your Sobbing and Brass in Pocket, certainly, and Kid were sort of much more radio friendly fare, but it belies what is on a lot of the record. Songs like Precious and Mystery Achievement and The Weight. I mean, these songs rocked. And I don't know, that wasn't really what I personally associated with the Pretenders for a long time. It was kind of the more poppy radio hits. Tattooed Love Boys made me think, listening to it, talking about King Gizzard the other day. That Tattooed Love Boys is in sort of a 15 beat, however you want to break it down, whether it's 4/3 and 4/4 measures or a measure of 7 and a measure of 8. It's a kind of a weird rhythm. And there's a few songs that have kind of weird rhythms. I think I'm going to lose it, but yeah, I think maybe The Phone Call is another one. Like there's another one that's in like 7. But it's not what you would expect, and she makes them rock fairly effortlessly. The Pretenders, this is a classic debut, and rather than talk endlessly, I have to know probably a little bit about Chrissie Hynde. If you're just a music fan, if you're the kind of person who's going to watch this in the first place, so I don't necessarily need to go over her life, but what a life, She was almost in the Clash. She was almost in the Damned. She was in a band with Mark Mothersbaugh. She was together with Ray Davies, who wrote Stop Your Sobbing, which is covered here, which weirdly prefigured, I think, their relationship. She was married to Jim Kerr from Simple Minds. She just has found herself in the epicenter. It's funny, an American born in Akron, Ohio, finding her way that deep into the music scene in London, kind of just as punk was exploding. She wrote for NME, New Music Express, for a time, and just, I don't know, just a very cool lady. So anyway, once again, I'm trying to hammer this out very quickly because life finds a way to get in my way. And so I will pass the Pretenders debut, 1980 debut, on to Eric for his response, which you can look for on Monday on his channel, the Plastic Soundwave Cult. He's the guy I play the game with. And I will throw Tattooed Love Boys, I think, onto our sampler playlist for you to check out. If you are only really familiar with the singles, it'll be an education. So with that, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Bye.